going on, football fans? Matt and Ryan and our guest star, DFS Patriot. Go find them on Twitter. We are up here. We're bringing them on as a guest spot this week. We're ready to talk some Week 14 Draftkings. I know you and I talk a lot of football. Clearly, Bellman and I talk a lot of football. Let's bring the three of us together and get after it, boys.
I love having the three of us on these videos, man. It brings a nice change. There's very few people we want to make these with, so you should feel honored, Patriot.
Big fan of you guys, obviously.
I think honored's a bit aggressive, but hey, I'm with it, guys. Anyways, Overlay Fantasy Sports, guys, check it out. We did our first thoughts video for NFL a couple of days ago. It is out there. We will follow up with our final thoughts video tomorrow. We give you our favorite plays of the week. We've been covering basketball on a daily basis, so those are up there. One of the faster growing DFS websites out there. It really gets you away from the Sharks making 150 lineups. It's winnable. I love seeing all the good results with a bunch of you guys out there. Keep tweeting those bad boys out. Let's go win that money on this site. Let's win it on DraftKings. Let's just win it all.
Let's get it.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Again, guys, you've also caught us doing the drafters drafts this week, the three of us. The link to sign up is below. 100% deposit match up to $100. Subscribe to the station if you're here. Thumbs up is appreciated. So let's go over to the quarterback position. I know out of the three of us, I'm the one most likely to pay up at the quarterback position routinely. Lamar Jackson, death, taxes, Lamar Jackson will succeed in DFS. The Occam's razor breakdown for him, for me, is he averages about 3.95 ratio on his price tag, where if you equate it out to the 7,400 price tag, if you could get everybody to perform at that mark, you would score about 197.2 DraftKings points this week. Now, that probably won't win you the Millionaire Maker, but almost every week that will get you up into the money within the GPPs. He's just a solid floor, solid upside play every single week. He's basically matchup proof. I don't look as going into Buffalo is like a crush spot, but he's not the kind of guy that you can really evaluate similar to any other quarterback that there is right out there. He's more athletic than any quarterback we've ever seen. Yes, I said it, even more athletic than Michael Vick in my eyes. There's no way to stop this guy. Rushing yardage gives you a high floor. He has one bad game all year at Pittsburgh, always a tough place for the Ravens to play. And then his one game that wasn't great was at Kansas City because Mark Ingram ran in every touchdown that week. So I'm a big fan this week. If you got the money, high floor, get him in there.
Patriot, what's your take here?
So I get it. I mean, the matchup isn't perfect at all. But, everyone was saying against the 49ers a couple of weeks back, oh, well, that's a terrible matchup. And then with the weather, too. And, I mean, he's still crushed value. You know what I mean? So he's consistent. As much as it hurts me to say that as a Patriots fan, he's consistent. And if you have the money, spend up and grab him.
Yeah, so, of course, I got nothing to disagree with here. All you got is facts on the page, so there's nothing I can disagree with. Patriot, I will say it does sound like you don't like him quite as much as Ryan. I'm not as surprised by that. All I'll say about this is, Ryan, I'm playing against you in our year-long fantasy playoffs this week, and you have Lamar Jackson, so I hope he sucks.
Yeah, I figured that's what you would think because it's our bigger money league, and I would expect you to think nothing less. It wouldn't be a week if I didn't like Lamar Jackson more than you did.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. For me, I don't want to pick a QB going into Buffalo, but Patriot, what you said is exactly right. People were saying the same thing last week. They've said it all year. It does, Ryan, I know what you're thinking. It does remind me of Mahomes last year.
He's actually outpacing Mahomes from last year as far as DFS points go this year. I find that to be pretty incredible. He's just really matchup proof at this point because he's not like other quarterbacks. He's become significantly better at throwing the ball this year. Can you imagine what this guy could do if they put better skill position players around him? Like if he had a good wide receiving core, if his number 2 wasn't Willie Snead?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's move on from there. So here's one I think we can all agree upon, and that is Melvin Gordon. 20 to 25 punches per game over the last month. And the Jaguars ranked 31 of 32 teams in the NFL for yards per carry allowed. There's a lot to like right here.
Yeah, they want this dude to find the zone also. We've talked about this, it seems like, for years. He hasn't scored the past couple of weeks, but he's still been productive. They're still trying to get him in there. I think this game could be sleeper offense from both sides. And we've seen the Chargers want to pound Gordon, give him the rock. I see nothing different here. I don't even know who's starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars on defense anymore, but it's certainly not what they had a couple of years ago. Great matchup for Gordon. I like him quite a bit. And I know you do too, Patriot.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is, too, you got people saying, oh, it's a Jags defense. But like you just said, it's not the Jags defense. They're playing their name. They're terrible. They're absolutely
it's like the Spurs in basketball.
Yeah, they think they still got it, and it's just not there anymore. So, I mean, at this price point, too, how can you not play him?
Yeah, he makes a lot of sense. He still gets, I mean, for guys who are going to get more than likely 20 plus carries for a desperate team right now, he's usually the focal point within the red zone. Just because he hasn't scored the last 2 weeks, that's more of an anomaly than anything. He doesn't look maybe as good as he did a couple years ago. Okay, well, that's running backs in general. He's still seeing a monster workload, focal point within the red zone. And like you said about the Jaguars defense, it's living off a reputation at this point. Once you take an elite shutdown corner off a team and now they need to focus their attention elsewhere and you can't, it doesn't free up as many things for you. This team is giving up more yards per carry than all but one team in the entire NFL.
And I feel like after, a couple of years ago when they were really good, made the AFC title game, they got in their own heads. And even last year, we saw them really start to slip, even with Ramsey. It's just gone downhill since then. Now they're really lacking, playmakers on the second level, linebackers and safeties.
Amen. Next up, Kyle Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. So I went to look up just to verify it. It sounds like Adam Thielen is trending towards out this week. Not officially listed as out, but listed as trending towards unlikely to play. So I like when statistics, being the factual account of history, match up and there's a reason to see why somebody has an uptick. The Kyle Rudolph production is directly correlated to the loss of Adam Thielen. There's no question about it at this point. He's got touchdowns in 4 straight games. And with the defenses sell out to stop Dalvin Cook and Stephon Diggs in the red zone, he has been the obvious benefactor.
Yeah, you expect Minnesota to be able to move the ball here. I like all parts of the Minnesota offense. Rudolph is that prototypical cog in the machine here. They trust him. Cousins trusts him in the red zone, which is big. He's made plays for him. He'll continue to go there. We saw he wasn't that productive last week until Cousins really started focusing on him in the red zone. He got a touchdown. I like going right back here today. Couple tight ends in this price point were in play, and I like Rudolph quite a bit.
So here's my question for both you guys. I believe Vance McDonald against the absolute sieve against tight ends Arizona is listed right there. Would you assume that he'll be more popular this week because everybody wants to pick on Arizona?
Not sure. What do you think, Patriot?
Well, I mean, you get that. But then the other aspect is, for a couple hundred more, you have Jack Doyle right there who went off last week. So he's kind of in that weird sandwich where there's 3 or 4 options. If you want to pay $700 more, you can get to Hunter Henry. I mean, there's options there. He's not going to get the ownership that you'd think he would.
I think my problem with Vance McDonald, Ryan, is that he sucks. We talked about that, and his quarterback isn't good. I already like another piece of that Pittsburgh offense, which we'll get in, and I don't want to use more than one personally, but I get your question for sure.
All right, let's move along. You guys have a Will Fuller love affair. Why don't you kick it off, Matt, and tell us all about it?
So this is a guy, I loved him coming into the week. I definitely wanted to bring him up on the video, but I know that, Ryan, you didn't like him, and, we can't always just go back and forth. We want to bring up mostly guys that we both like. But now that we got Patriot on here, who also likes him, we have a little 2-on-1 action. So we saw last week, and I loved him last week, just missed a big touchdown. They got called back. First they called it a touchdown. Clearly he wasn't in. Got called back. Ended up really affecting his game log. He didn't do anything last game. Well, this is a great bounce back spot for him. I'm a big Chris Harris fan. He'll be all over DeAndre Hopkins. They've got some stud elite corner named Isaac Yiadom who's supposed to cover him. No, I'm just kidding. He is not a stud. I have no idea who he is. Will Fuller should burn him. We've seen him have massive upside games a couple times this year. We've seen it plenty of times in the past. Patriot, I'm wondering what you really like here. I know you gave us some stats, but I feel like he's always more of a tournament guy, but it seems like you like him all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, and he is one of those guys for me that I'm going to have in tournaments and I'm going to have in cash. Like I said, Yiadom, he's coming in for Devontae Harris, who, again, who's he? They're actually a top 5 defense against the slot receivers. So you're going to lock him up, then you're going to get Harris on D-Hop. And I mean, Watson loves Fuller, and when he starts feeding him and when they start getting in a groove, I mean, it's just going to keep going. I can easily see 7 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown here.
Easily. And the one thing I'll say to you, Ryan, because I know you don't like him this week, and you never have to play anyone in cash games because of that, I could see him being more popular than we thought maybe going into the week, only because I feel like the DFS world really likes him. Remember a couple weeks ago when he went off and he was really popular? Not saying that you should play him because of that, but don't you think he could end up getting a little more love than maybe we think?
Well, I never said he wouldn't get any love. And it's not like I dislike him. I just struggle to use a guy who's rarely productive.
Get it?
All right. Next up is your boy, James Washington.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite plays on the slate. I love him at $6K. I think he gets overlooked in this price point. So no James Conner. Juju is probably not going to play. It leaves Washington and Johnson as the main two wideouts. I watched a ton of this game last week because they played the Browns. The big reason the Steelers came back was because of James Washington. Him and Hodges clearly have a rapport. Rarely, if ever, would I go to a wide receiver in Arizona who I thought might be blanketed by Patrick Peterson. Not sure that's going to be the case here, but even if he is, I don't care. I like Pittsburgh in this spot. I don't want to go too heavy on this offense, but Washington's a big play waiting to happen. GPP upside in 3 of 4. I like him again here. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it wasn't someone that just hopped out at me right at first, but, those numbers that you're bringing up, and you're right, there's nothing left in Pittsburgh for Hodges to throw to. And if he's got that rapport and we know how great of a defense the Cardinals are, I mean, what's not to like?
Wait a minute. Was that sarcasm?
Never.
Okay, good. I'm not fluent in sarcasm. Okay, maybe I'm only fluent in sarcasm. So, yeah, the Arizona pass defense is terrible. End of story.
And, I know that people, even I, thought that Washington and Rudolph might have a connection in the NFL because they, were very good in college together. Well, Rudolph sucks. He's just not a good pro quarterback. And 3 of Washington's, 3 of the aside from last week, the 3 games before that were all with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Hodges is an upgrade for him. He's not great, but he's an upgrade. I like this kid coming into his own.
Well, Mason Rudolph really only has a connection with the bench where he belongs because that's how good he is.
And Myles Garrett's helmet.
Yeah, that's the other one right there. So, awesome. Anything else to throw in there, gentlemen?
All I got.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful day. And for everybody listening, click on the thumbs up is appreciated. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Let's go make that money.
Thanks, guys.
See you later, guys.